Hello Zimbabwe, welcome back to our episode of Farming 263. Today we are along Chinoi Road in Mount Upton, Suncrown Estate, where we are meeting with our farmer Mr. P. Moyana, who is doing all type of horticultural activities and also poultry, and he has got a big farm, so we have to head on and see what we have. How are you, sir?
How are you, ma'am?
My name is Deidre and I'm from Farming 263. So I would like you to introduce yourself to our viewers.
Hello viewers, my name is Pinyo Moyana. I'm the general manager for Suncrown Estates.
Okay, nice meeting you, sir. I see you have got a very big land and you're doing a lot. Before we head into what you're doing, I would like you to introduce yourself, like a quick background of what made you do this and...
Okay, just a quick background. Pinyo Moyana was an IT specialist, and currently my grandfather owned a farm in Chiredzi, and my father was a farm manager at other estates in Nandi, Chiredzi. So what happened, I was just inspired by what he was doing, and I just thought like I should just follow suit. Yes.
Yeah, that's very true. So what do we have here?
Okay, currently you're sitting on a 60 hectare center pivot. Currently we're in the potato fields. We've got 30 hectares of potatoes, 3 different varieties. We've got Ruta, we've got Lanoma, and we've got Toronto.
Okay. So what's the difference between like these varieties of potatoes? Like we are now used to our normal brown potatoes that we eat.
Okay, just a quick background about Ruta. Ruta, it's a red-skinned flesh. It's a red-skinned potato, and normally it's absorbed by the processing companies. For example, that's the main variety which was used to process like the Willard Spurs, those chips, you know. Yes, and it's a little bit different with the ones which we have, which I'm going to show you, like the Toronto. Toronto is not a processing variety. Normally we sell it for, yes, it's just a normal potato. These crops, for example, we've got butternuts, we've got potatoes, we've got green mealies, we've got sweet corn, we've got a variety of crops. So what we do what we call soil analysis or soil sampling, whereby we took our soils, we send them to Omnia or to ZFC, to those reputable labs. Then after that, they give us some recommendations concerning the pH of the land which we want to do our farming there. Then afterwards, that's where we design our fertilizer program or our nutrition program. Then in terms of the weeds, traditionally this farm has got a big problem of morning glory, datura ferox, datura stramonium. So what we basically do now for these broad leaves, we use some herbicides like metribuzin, which is Senko, and for other grasses, we for example, when we plant, we do a cocktail mix of Senko and Jua Magnum. Jua Magnum will be dealing with the grasses, and Senko will be dealing with the broad leaves. Yeah,
and I've learned a lot. I don't know about you guys. So I want to ask, what is the importance of soil sampling before we go into our plantation? Okay,
soil sampling gives you a guideline or a guidance of the missing nutrients, or like the nutrient, the missing, what can I say?
To know what our soil lacks.
Yes. That's what it helps you to understand.
Okay, thank you. So what's our next visit?
Okay, so from here I'm going to take you to the butternuts field, and I'll be giving you the agronomy of the butternuts combined with the agronomy of the potatoes. Okay. Before I take you to the butternuts field, I'm going to share with you some few nuggets about this variety. This variety is called Toronto. It's from Netherlands, and it's a high-yielding variety. So I'll be talking about the agronomy shortly, but if you can come, we just want to do a quick sample so that you can see what it's capable of doing in terms of yield. So this is, as you can see, we've pulled this from the one harm or the one plant, and you can actually see you can pull, you can actually see.
These are big yields that we have here. Yeah.
Yes, as you can see, there's still some more potatoes just underneath.
How many do you get from each plant?
On average, plant we're averaging 1.9 per plant on average.
Yeah. That's a huge, that's a lot. Okay, so you have, I have learned a lot, guys. I don't know about you. So I have actually learned that there are different varieties. We have the red skinned and the usual one that we know. That's the Toronto. Thank you. So I can see behind me this is a type of irrigation that you use.
Yes.
Would you mind explaining how it works?
Okay. Currently we've got 33 boreholes which support this pivot and 3 reservoirs. Each reservoir has got a capacity of carrying 1 million liters of water. So they are all, the 3 of them, they are all supporting this center pivot, and it's actually a 60-hectare center pivot. But as you can see, we didn't want to put our eggs in one basket. So under this center pivot, we've got 12 hectares of green mealies SC727. Then we've got 30 hectares of potatoes. Then we've got 5 hectares of butternuts being staggered. Then we've got 200,000 heads of cabbages. I'm going to take you to the fields so that you have to have an appreciation.
Okay, viewers, we have heard from our farmer. He is not just only a farmer, he is a commercial farmer and partakes in a very huge farming method. So we're now heading to the butternut where he's doing staggering. I also don't know what is that, so we're going to ask our farmer. So viewers, we're now here at our butternuts and we're going to be told the mechanism that they use to grow their butternuts. Okay, over to you, our farmer.
Okay, so we are at, this is 5 hectares of butternuts. This variety is called Gilda. Then as you can actually see, it's averaging like 6 fruits per plant.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm going to share with you just a little bit of what we did on this field. We actually, since we've got chicken manure, we've got a poultry section. So what we actually did, we took the chicken manure from the poultry section and we incorporated it with the soil and gypsum, and we did our land preparation as normal. Then we put a rotavator, then we made some beds, and this is actually 15,000 plants per hectare. We've got we did 45 centimeters in row and 1.2 meters interval spacing.
Before you go on,
yeah,
I'd like to ask, what is the importance of spacing interrow and in-row?
Okay, the main reason was because of aeration.
Oh.
Yes, we didn't.
We have heard from our farmer they use the importance of aeration in plantation. Take note.
Then you can actually see there is the marigold, and we've got just behind the pivot, behind the field, we've got some beehives there, because what we do, we've got 15 beehives, because on average 1 hectare requires 3 beehives for cross-pollination. As you can see around, there are bees all over the place for cross-pollination.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's new, and I'm learning, guys. I'm learning. Okay, so we have seen and we have heard from our farmer what he does with these butternuts. But it does not only end at butternuts. We have another field waiting for us.
Yeah. Then from the butternuts field, I'm going to take you to the maize field where we have 12 hectares of SC727 green mealies.
Guys, we are now at our maize plantation, which is specifically known as green mealies. So our farmer is going to take us through.
Okay, this is SC727. We've got 12 hectares of green mealies, and basically the reason why we had put it, it was like a filler crop, because this area is like a lay area. It's a little bit dampy, as you can actually see. So we've put it as a filler crop, and we are expecting to harvest it first week of January.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a bit lost. What is a filler crop?
Okay, filler crops, these are the other crops which you might put to boost your cash flow.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's an off season, so how do you manage your market?
Okay, currently last year when we did it, we were selling it at $2.50 per dozen. So actually we had missed with 1 month, and we'll be looking at something like $1 per dozen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And when it comes to weed management, fertilization, how do you go about it?
Okay, this was a little bit difficult, especially in terms of fertilizer application, because the area has got low pH. It has got 4.6 pH, and we had to do some gimmicks to make it work. It was a little bit difficult, but we have managed though to make it.
Wow.
Despite the challenges. Yeah,
impressive. So as we are moving around from the potato to the butternut now to the maize, you're talking about pH. What is the importance of pH balance in plantation?
Okay, when we're talking about the pH, when the pH is high, it can affect the productivity of the crop, and when the pH is very low, it can also affect the productivity of your crop. So as I've said earlier, we first do the soil analysis, and you are given some recommendations. Either you'll be adding the dolomic line or the calcitic line to just improve the pH, but it's not just done randomly. There is a certain period of time to fix the pH.
Wow. I hope you farmers are getting the notes. Make sure that your pH is at optimum level, not too high or too low. So as you're moving from our maize field, you're now going to see the cabbage. So
thank you.
We are now at the cabbage field. As you can see, it's a very, very huge, I don't know how many hectares these are, and they are very huge. So would you mind taking us through there?
Okay, so we have got 5 hectares of cabbages on this area. I had put 40,000 plants per hectare of cabbages, and as you can see, this is 3311, and it was like 100 days from day of transplanting to maturity, and we are actually selling the cabbages to Mbare on daily basis.
Wow. That's a lot. But I would like to ask you a question. As I've seen it, the location of your area, how is transportation?
Okay, so far our customers, they are coming to pick by themselves from the farm.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty impressive and a bit better. So in terms of management, how do you manage the growth of your cabbages and all?
Scouting is the major factor which contributes to the success of every farmer. You don't have to be a cell phone farmer. You have to be in the fields day in and day out. Okay. Yeah.
It seems like a pretty much harder work, but you know what they say, there is money in the soil. So I am very impressed by all of this, and I have learned a lot, guys. I hope you guys have learned a lot from potatoes, butternuts, cabbages, maize. It's a lot. So I don't know which is our next field.
Okay, so I'm going to take you to the greenhouse tomatoes from here.
The greenhouse. Let's go. Okay viewers, we are now at our greenhouse. As you have seen from the previous, we're in the open field. Now we want to know what's the difference between open field and the greenhouse, the advantages and disadvantages. So let's head into our greenhouse.
Okay, thank you so much. So this is our greenhouse field, and actually this is 1 hectare of tomatoes.
Ooh.
Yeah, this variety is Tovista.
Okay, I think what this thing explains all.
Yes. Because actually what we do, we've got 10 people who work on this 1 hectare greenhouse, and each person has got her own base to manage. As you can actually see, they are the base throughout the whole field.
Oh, so this is the name of the person who manages?
Yes, who manage the base.
Yes,
yeah.
What? This is
date of planting.
Oh, date of planting.
Yeah.
In the variety.
The variety, yes.
Wow, I see. I think you guys have seen this is kind of record keeping of some sort. So I see like there are streams and all. What's the
So as I was explaining, these are indeterminate varieties. They can stretch up to even 9 meters in length. So the reasons of the strings are to keep them intact and retrain them back to the string so that they will not just fall apart.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. So how many tomatoes do you yield per plant?
The average is plus or minus 9 kgs per plant.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see. I'm not an agronomist, but I've heard that tomatoes are prone to red spiders and all.
Yeah.
So how do you manage pest control?
So we do routine fungal disease sprays on weekly basis, and insects and pest sprays on weekly basis. As I've said earlier, scouting is the best solution. So we are in and out of the fields like on daily basis, two to 3 times a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I heard you tell me that this variety is Tovista. What's the difference from the usual? Like, people just know how to buy tomatoes. So what's the advantages of this variety?
Tovista, from my experience, it's a little bit firm than other varieties. Number one, we actually did an arm test some few months ago, and we actually noticed that it stretches up to 2 to 3 weeks while it's still intact. So that's what we need on the market, the shelf life and the firmness of the fruit.
Okay. So in terms of watering, how do you go about it?
We use the drip irrigation, as you can actually see, and we've got a weekly schedule. Like for example, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we've got some irrigation calendar which we follow on weekly basis.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see. So you're doing drip irrigation. And what kind of nutrients do you give to your tomatoes?
Okay, usually when you do these indeterminate varieties, we have got a Gantt chart from day 1 up to day 235. So we put our nutrition or fertilizers accordingly. Especially we use the solubles like the MKP, MAP, the calcium nitrate, the potassium, but on soluble, not the granulars, because we put our fertilizer using the fertigator, the fertigation tank, the fertilizer outside the greenhouse. That's what we use.
Okay, so how many beds do you have in total in this huge greenhouse?
So I've got 88 beds.
Yeah. 11 beds for each person. 11 beds for each person.
Yes.
Okay, guys, I think you have seen we have Tovista, which is a firm breed that is used here in terms of longevity and also market price. So thank you very much. We're now heading to the next greenhouse.
Thank you so much. Let me take you to the next greenhouse.
Okay, viewers, we are now in our new greenhouse. We are going to be taught on how they manage their seedlings and take them to the open field.
Okay, basically we do the seedlings for ourselves. As you can see, we've got 16,000 plants of Star 3311 cabbage variety, and this is we'll be planting it in the next few days to come, and this is the next batch of 16,000 plants again of tomatoes. The main reason which pushed us to establish our own nursery, we were trying to cut costs because it's a little bit expensive to buy some seedlings.
Okay, so I want to ask, there are companies that give seeds that are already, processed and all.
Yeah.
So do you undergo the same processes?
Yes, we undergo the same processes because we've got experienced agronomist who is just stationed here to do the seed nursery.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is just a whole nursery of maize also, and
and the English cucumbers. This is just a trial, a greenhouse trial of sweet corn. As you can actually see, we've put some different varieties under the greenhouse and both on the open field side. So just want to see the performance under the greenhouse versus the open field.
So you just do drip irrigation?
We just do drip irrigation, yes.
Okay. What is the advantage of doing drip irrigation?
It's easier to irrigate and there is less water loss. This is English cucumbers. We have staggered it in small batches. So we've got 4,000 cucumbers here, cucumber plants. And
White things.
this is magnesium sulfate.
What's the use of it?
Okay, so the use of magnesium sulfate, it helps like in keeping the chlorophyll.
Okay.
Yeah, it maintains the chlorophyll of the plant.
Okay, I wanted to ask, why is it you have specifically chosen a few plants to put in the greenhouse? What is the advantages of it?
It's easier to manage.
Oh,
Yeah, less labor required here.
okay. How about in terms of pest control?
It's because we on these 4,000 plants we are using one person to spray and to maintain, so it's easier even for scouting. Less headaches here.
How about the aeration, ventilation and all?
Okay, we open our vents accordingly to the basing on the temperatures. As you can see, we've got the thermometer in the middle of the greenhouse, which will help us in reading the room temperatures. Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is so amazing. So viewers, I guess you have learned a lot from our farmer about the seedlings and why they are doing a nursery for their plantation, that is to cut costs. As you know, the economy is all about survival. So thank you very much, sir, and we are now heading to our next station. As we are now at the poultry, as you can see, we couldn't get in because of biosecurity. You know the importance of biosecurity when it comes to animal, plants and everything. So I just want to ask a few questions. How do you manage to take care of 20,000 chickens?
Okay, currently, as you have said, we've got 100,000 broilers. Each house accommodates up to 20,000 beds, and it's not an easy job because biosecurity is the key. First of all, for example, you have to be. We do the swab tests, and after the swab test, hygiene in the chicken houses, and first and foremost, the location, the site location, is very critical, especially on choosing the site selection. Yeah.
So, as a farmer, you have well vested in this information about poultry. What knowledge would you want to share with other farmers out there who want to partake in this business?
Okay, basically the poultry business, firstly, doesn't want shortcuts. You have to follow, for example, the vaccine administration religiously, and secondly, the hygiene. No shortcuts about that.
You have heard for yourselves, viewers. Those are some of the things that you have to do as a poultry farmer. Okay guys, so I think we have seen the whole of Mr. P. Moyano's farm in production. He is doing a lot, coming from potatoes, butternut, maize, greenhouse and everything. So in every farming production there's always challenges that a farmer faces. So I would like to ask you about the challenges that you're facing. My first question is, how are you handling market?
Okay, actually we are actually growing for the markets, and currently we are growing for about 4 companies which are coming to collect by themselves from the site.
Okay, yeah. And in terms of location and accessibility, how are you managing with transportation for those farmers who are willing to buy but are not able to come?
Basically, we've got the biggest advantage over most of the farmers because we are like 21 kilometers from the CBD, so it's easy to access. And talking about the road network, it's close by Chinoi Road. It's like 2 kilometers from Chinoi Road, so it's easier for the farmers, for the buyers to actually come by themselves and collect the stuff.
Oh, that's better. And also, you know, when it comes to farming, there are inputs, processes, and all. So inputs always require capital. Capital is a major thing. So how are you managing economical wise?
Okay, here's the reason why we have put like 5 lines of crops. The other crop will act as like, it helps us to save our petty, for example, it helps as petty cash. So it's not that really easy because of the, taking for instance the inflation, the price hikes, but in terms of our quality, it's easier to lure some customers and to bid for better prices.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
So I would also want to ask, I've seen it's a very, very big land, and I'm very sure you're not alone. I would like to ask about the management.
Okay, the management, being the general manager, I've got my assistant by the name of Benjamin Bumuza. He's like my arm, and down the organogram, we've got like the supervisors, the foremen, who will be helping us in, the scouters who will be helping us in the production of all the crops which you have seen.
Okay, so how many workers do we have?
We've got 105 workers.
Oh, that's a lot of workers, I see. Okay, what is your 5-year point plan?
Okay, our 5-year plan, we're going to expand, but mainly we'll be doing the export peas, since we've got already the global GAP certificate and the SMITA certificate. So we're going to expand into export production. We will be focused mainly on peas and butternuts for export, and some fine beans, a little bit of fine beans.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. P. Moyana. I think viewers, you have heard for yourself and you have learned about Mr. P. Moyana's 5-year point plan and how he's going to manage with the market. So stay tuned for our next segment. We are going to have experts on the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.